So this is a bit of a tale of woe, really. What we have here is a graph that shows what happens when you take the most popular videos off your channel in order to try and make it monetizable. So you can see that in the closing days of 2022, I made the decision to remove videos like this Brave Star intro here, which has been on my channel for donkey's years, but unfortunately it's the sort of content which is viewed as reused content, which means that YouTube doesn't really like it for monetization purposes. And although it was giving me a massive watch time hours boost, those watch time hours were never going to be monetizable, and more than that, it was actually stopping the channel from being eligible for monetization, full stop. So I took a view in December time here to unlist all of the ancient cartoon intros, well, nearly all the cartoon intros that were on the site. And as you can see, it was quite strange, because what happens is that immediately all of their sort of back history gets completely gotten rid of by YouTube. So that meant that my watch time hours basically halved. So I went from over 4,000, which is what you need for monetization, to under 1,900 or so. And as you can see here, you know, my watch time hours then dropped to sort of 200 per month, which only gets you about 2,400 hours a year, and it's just kind of carried on just sort of drifting down. Now, this puzzled me a little bit, because I thought that they'd sort of at least kind of recover a little bit and maybe start creeping up again, because I realised that I'd lost 6 months worth of hours in a day, effectively. So what this means is that the rest of the content that was left was giving me about sort of half the watch hours that I needed to get up to qualification for monetization again. And the weird thing is that even though I've made them unlisted, quite a few of the cartoon intros are still getting views, which I find puzzling. But I guess they're on people's playlists, or maybe some of my old playlists that I haven't got rid of. And it would be nice to be, at least to have the option to be monetized. And I am trying to generate, as you'll have seen, quite a lot more kind of original content and content that should be qualified, or, you know, be capable of qualification to be monetized. But it's just kind of interesting looking at this, because I thought that it was kind of looking back over the period of a year. So I was constantly getting indications that my watch time was decreasing. And I thought that was because it was looking back a whole year. But now looking at this graph, I can see now that my watch time is still going down a bit in hours, probably continuously over the, I mean, only slightly, but it's definitely not holding. It's definitely not going up. So I guess that is why it looks like I am getting fewer views. I mean, my views are actually fairly stable. From February time, my views look reasonably stable, but they're just sort of creeping downwards a little bit. So it's one of those ones where it's kind of a difficult decision to make now. It's sort of, do I do more sort of clickbaity stuff? Do I just keep on doing what I'm doing, and hopefully I get enough new subscribers who are interested in that type of content that eventually, you know, I might get back up to sort of where I need to be? I have a lot of subscribers because my channel's been going on for like 15 years, 16 years now. So as a result of that, I easily have 2,000 plus subscribers, but I guess a lot of those are quite old subscribers, so they don't necessarily represent people who are looking at my current content, which is why there's this sort of disjoint between my subscriber numbers and my watch hours. But I wanted to make this video really just partly for me to have a look at this, but also for you to understand that if you're thinking about changing your channel and altering its content to move towards monetization, and like me, it wasn't a particularly focused channel to start with, and it had been around for a while and you were doing different stuff on it, it's clearly going to take you a while to recover from getting rid of the core stuff that was, you know, propping it up in the first place. Because I just don't think that with the best will in the world I can get monetized by keeping lots of stuff that would make it a lot easier for me to get monetized, if you see what I mean, because they've sort of reused stuff. I think they're really clamping down on. So if other channels have got it, it's an indication that you're not creating original content, which means they don't want to monetize you as much. So yeah, it's a bit of a shame. But you know, I've viewed it as a challenge to be overcome, which I think you've got to if you're gonna if like me, you're just a sort of solo creator, and I'm learning stuff as I go. You know, I'm learning about camera setups. I've got a bit more lighting than I've had in the past. Just trying to understand how to do it a little bit better, basically. But I think if you are single-handed, it is quite a challenge. So I'm just looking at sort of subscribers going up there over time. So I'm still picking up new subscribers, just not particularly rapidly. And the sort of views by content are sort of okay. But there's some really interesting tools on the analytics function. So if you look at, I can take it down to the last 3 months, and you can see it's not horrific. It's just not going up. It's just steady away. Interestingly, I haven't done as many Babylon 5 review videos of late because they came to a natural end, and I do need to do my Crusade videos, which I keep meaning to do and I haven't done yet. So maybe when I add in a few more of those, it'll pick up a little bit again. But I think it's just about consistency as much as anything else. I think if you can just keep on putting out new stuff, then you will get there eventually. But as I say, it was quite sobering for me to realise that it was all my old cartoon intros that were what were really sort of propping up the channel. But it was understandable because they've been there for so long, and it's the sort of stuff people like. I think trying to do stuff off your own bat, I feel like I'm doing more content that is authentically me now because I've got more time, which is nice. But obviously that doesn't necessarily equate to lots of other people sharing your interest and wanting to watch that sort of stuff. So you've just got to be patient, I guess, and just try and sort of build things back up. But I'm having fun with it. Which again, I think if you're doing it like this as a sort of just as a hobby, as a sideline, then I think you've got to be having fun with it. Otherwise, what's the point, really? So yeah. Anyway, I just thought I'd share that with you because if you've never delved into the analytics of your channel, I mean, I'm sure if you were doing it seriously, you would have done. But I do just find this sort of stuff quite interesting because you can find out about. I mean, viewer age for me is a funny one because it is it's really people of my age group because the content that I'm doing is very, very age dependent. You are only going to remember the stuff that I'm talking about if you are in the sort of 35 to 54 age bracket. So that doesn't surprise me at all. What does interest me though quite a lot is the fact that YouTube knows that. That's really interesting to me. But I guess this is why you only get stats from subscribers who are looking at your channel. People who are looking at it who aren't sort of YouTube members, then they're just blank to YouTube. So it's kind of interesting to see what that sort of demographic looks like. So yeah, that was it for this one. Really, it was just kind of me trying to understand a little bit better just exactly why my figures look like they were sort of constantly dropping, and I don't think they are constantly. Well, they probably are downwards, but I thought it was because of the history of the channel. I didn't realise it was actually just the last few months of just this sort of gradual slope down. I thought it was looking back much further than that, but I don't think it is actually. So I think sort of the more recent past is actually what's feeding into it. But anyway, I mean, this may not be of massive use to you, obviously, because this is very specific to my channel, but if you are wondering why your figures look as they do, I would come into this, do yourself some bar charts, do yourself some graphs, and just sort of see what's happening. Because it's very powerful tools. You've got to hand it to them. It's really useful stuff. But yeah, so my quest to grow the channel will continue, it would appear, for quite a while. Cheers for now.